Welcome to Community Partners Interview, where we explore organizations, the opportunities, and resources that look to make a change in daily lives. I'm your host, Steuart McCoy, and you're listening to Voices for Ability Radio, all abilities, all the time. Today I'm joined by Julian Fletcher, the program coordinator for Tourette Canada and Tourette's OCD Alberta Network. The Tourette's OCD Alberta Network was created by a group of healthcare professionals, researchers, educators, and people who lived experience with Tourette syndrome and OCD. The network began through grant funding from the Alberta Newborn Child and Youth Strategic Clinical Network in 2019, and now receives ongoing funding through the charitable organizations and grants. The Tourette OCD Alberta Network is a registered charity with Revenue Canada. Thank you for joining us today, Julian.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and to speak with you, and thank you for this opportunity to let you know what we do.
Yes, definitely. To start off, can you tell us a bit more about yourself and what inspired you to work with Tourette's Canada and Tourette's OCD Alberta Network, and why work with individuals with disabilities?
Of course, yes. So, I am the program coordinator of the organization, and my background throughout my career has primarily been as a teacher in education. In the United Kingdom, my native country, and other countries around the world, including Italy and Australia and Greece. So I have extensive experience teaching. And when I came to Canada, it's something I wanted to continue, but it was actually quite difficult. But throughout my time as a teacher, I became aware that there were students in my classroom who had issues that I wasn't quite addressing. And as time went on, I realized that I didn't have the skills or the knowledge to be able to understand what some of their struggles were. And some of this, of course, was at kind of a subconscious level. So by the time I came to Canada many years later, and I just had an opportunity to work in this area, someone whom I knew said, look, you have the requisite skills we need for someone to take on this program coordinator role for an organization that provide advocacy and support for people, young people with Tourette's and OCD. So I just jumped to the chance because I'd done my background reading. I thought, well, I can, this is going to help me with those gaps that I knew that were apparent in previous years. And so I was so very happy to again be in a position where I could help people, and specifically help people with Tourette syndrome and OCD. And certainly OCD is quite a hidden condition, so sometimes it's very difficult for people to have a voice and to find support because they might want to hide it. And again, with Tourette syndrome, it's a condition by which sometimes people bring a lot of attention to themselves, so they might want to not sort of reach out for support sometimes. So notwithstanding, they badly need it. So this provided me with an opportunity to, from sort of ground zero in regard to our organisation, set up the foundation of an organisation, of course with the help of my colleagues, to begin to allow those people to find resources, to have access to a care pathway, to find peer support, and also have support with regards to children in the classroom and adults in their workplace. So of course that was initially within Alberta, and we have subsequently entered into a strategic partnership with Tourette Canada as of early this year. So in a very generalised, broad sense, that's why I do what I do. I'm very invested, and my impetus is to help people who have Tourette's and OCD. There are many of them, and we need to find them an environment in which they feel comfortable, and that we give them information and resources they need to live a life in which there's inclusivity, whether it's in the classroom, in the workplace, or in the general public environment.
I know you touched base a little bit about Tourette syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what some of the symptoms are?
Well, there can be multiple symptoms, of course, with regards to Tourette syndrome. For example, I mean, it's a broad canvas that we have there. To be diagnosed with Tourette syndrome, you would need 2 motor tics, which are responses of the body that are actions. So maybe a flailing of the arm, or it could be a grimace of the face, it could be a twitching of the nose. any part of the body can become a tick, or any movement in the body can become a tick. So you need two of those, and you need one verbal tick. So you could have a tick where you say some sort of words, or you make certain noises, hissing, kissing, or you may cough, and you need one of those verbal ticks, is a sound, and so you need two motor ticks, one verbal tick for longer than a year. If it's longer than a year, then you would be diagnosed with Tourette syndrome. Now, if you only had, say, a motor tick or just motor ticks for longer than a year, that would be a persistent tick disorder. So, sometimes the actual terminology there, for example, Tourette syndrome, can be a little bit misleading, or people have a perception of what that is. But again, just to repeat, Tourette syndrome is someone who has two motor tics, one verbal tick for longer than a year. Then you'll be diagnosed with Tourette syndrome. So the symptoms can range. There's a full range, a whole gamut of symptoms, because any sound can become a tick, and any movement of your body can become a tick. Sometimes ticks can come and go. They have this waxing and waning phenomenon, whereby you may have ticks for, say, 2 weeks or 2 months, and then they may leave you for quite some time. And then sometimes people will feel that perhaps their ticks have ceased, they've gone away, and often, most times they haven't at all, and then they'll come back, and they may come back with other ticks. So again, in a very generalized sense, that's an overview of tick symptomology.
When doing some research on your website, I saw that you have a webinar video recordings. Can you tell us a bit about webinars?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to reach out to the people who need us. So, like, for example, I spend one day a week of my working my working week at a Tourette's clinic, and also occasionally every 2 weeks at an OCD clinic. And I reach out to parents and patients on the day that they're being diagnosed or they're receiving treatment. So it's a great way to reach out to them and provide them with psychoeducation about Tourette syndrome or about OCD, and provide them with pathways to care, or to give them resources, or just to respond to any questions they may have. Of course, I don't see everybody in the province that has those conditions at those clinics. So what we do is that we have these regular webinars for patients and parents, and they're free, and anybody can attend them. What we do is they generally last an hour. We have a variety of topics. There's one that I regularly give, which is a primer of Tourette syndrome and a primer of OCD, which is essentially an understanding of both. But there may be one about treatment of both of those conditions, or there may be one about Tourette's in the classroom, IPPs, what they're called in the education system in Alberta, so that parents can get important information about some of the sort of statutory rights they have, for example, in being able to participate in the formulation of the IPP, of their child's IPP at school. Sometimes it can be a little bit perhaps sidelined, and so it's just that kind of just giving them support and advocacy so that they understand. So we do that via our webinars, and the great thing is we don't always get great attendance, and I've subsequently, in my experience of speaking to other people who run similar groups across Canada, that's always the case. But that becomes a solid resource on our website. So we record those webinars and we put them into our library and our website, and they are there for perpetuity for anybody to access and review. In fact, when I do meet new patients and their families in the Tourette's clinic, I direct them to our website, and specifically those webinars, so that they can get that that basic understanding if they don't already have it.
That's good. That's good. Education is a good way to learn as well too, right? So yeah,
absolutely. It's the bedrock of what we do. We provide psychoeducation, which is essentially education about Tourette syndrome or OCD, or I go into schools, and I also speak to young people in the classroom, and I speak to staff as well, and I will present at anywhere that people will listen to me, frankly, because it's really important beyond the audience of or beyond our patients, beyond the people who need treatment, but beyond the people that have these conditions. It's really important that the public and society at large understands what Tourette syndrome is, and OCD, and how they should respond in certain situations, because we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just telling people that, hey, this is the condition that some people have, and if you respond in this manner, you'll make their life much more comfortable, and they'll have fewer triggers. They won't tick as much, etc. So, yeah, education is vitally important.
Yeah, for sure. I know also there was something called support in the community. What does that entail?
Yeah, so essentially what that is it's the kind of support groups that we have a variety of support groups. So the ones that we kind of manage with Tourette Canada involve having sort of Canada-wide, pan-Canada support groups. Someone maybe in Vancouver or maybe in, I don't know, Winnipeg or in St. John's will send me an email saying, I've just been diagnosed with Tourette syndrome, or I've had Tourette syndrome for quite some time, and I really want to meet up with other people and share my experiences. What can I do? And so I will introduce them to the convener of the group, and they are then able to participate in that group. And I've also attended that group a few times, and it's just wonderful. It just has a group of people who just speak about their daily life and some of the obstacles they may face, or some of the beautiful moments in their life, and they share it with people that have true understandings because they have that lived experience. But likewise, other things that we do is that we have peer group discussions for parents with children who have these conditions. So one of the things we do is about 4 or 5 times a year. We have, over a 5-week period, we'll have a group of parents from across Canada, up to a maximum of around about 12. And we'll have a psychologist facilitated or moderated discussion group in which an expert in either Tourette syndrome or OCD will present over 5 weeks. Well, not present, will convene, will facilitate a conversation, and there's an agenda, there's homework to be done, and it really, again, of course it's online, it really does give parents, and that's the Canada community-wide, or the community-wide Canada group, it really does give them an opportunity to speak with other people and understand they're not alone. And again, I do measure and I afterwards and speak to people who've been in the groups, and one of the common threads, one of the common themes that comes out afterwards is we are not alone, and that is that's in a community that is Canada wide. So we try to do lots of different things in the community. So, for example, this September we have a family day at Edmonton Zoo on September the 20th. So again, I meet a lot of children at the Tourette clinic who say, I'd love to meet another child who has Tourette syndrome. It's quite common. So sometimes that's just difficult to bring together, but we've done that this year, and we've got around about 35 children that are going to meet each other with their parents as well in the community of Alberta. But again, anybody from Canada can attend. So that's again another facet, another event in what we're trying to do in the community, whether it's in Alberta or Canada wide.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, supporting is amazing.
Yeah, it's essential.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Are there any restrictions to joining Tourette's Canada and Tourette's OCD Alberta network?
None. I mean, if you didn't have any of these conditions, then there are no limitations. You can go directly to our website and you can sign up and subscribe. We have a monthly newsletter, a little bit quieter in the summer because not too many people around. And in that newsletter, we tell people about the multiple events that we put forward. So, for example, one of the things I forgot is that we do have like a book club for parents, a book and film club. We'll discuss every couple of months, and the parents will elect which book, will choose which book that we will be reading. And we also had recently a new group, was a Dungeons and Dragons group for children aged between 11 and 14, very successful. So all that information will be in our newsletter. So if people just want to know about what we're doing, or there'll be topical information in that newsletter, because they can just subscribe. They're on our mailing list and they will get an email once a month. So there are no restrictions at all.
That's good to hear. Good to hear. Without using any names, can you share a success story with me?
Yes, of course. There are multiple. Just let me think. Yeah, just recently, a family had been contacting me quite often in Edmonton and Alberta, and they had really been struggling with their child. And again, just within Alberta, because the the main Tourette's clinic is in Calgary, which is, again, it's a 3-hour drive from Edmonton, and certainly, there's another 4 or 5 hours of driving beyond Edmonton to the towns and cities above there. It's difficult for them to get to Calgary, so there is kind of a service divide, if you like, an inequality. So we're always trying to address that. So trying to get the wider public to know about us is one of our goals, and it's very difficult. So someone had contacted me from Edmonton and outlined to me that their child dire situation, and they just found our organisation online, and that their child had seen someone that booked an appointment in the United States, and it's going to cost them a lot of money. And I said, well, we have this world-class, we have this centre of excellence in Calgary. The child had severe tics and comorbidities, including OCD and ADHD and sort of rage issues. She sent me some emails quite tentatively, very, very, very Canadian, very polite. And once I got an understanding of the severity of the case, ensure that your doctor refers you to our clinic, and generally that can take a while, 6 months to get an appointment. Anyway, they came to the clinic, and it was a whole new world for them. We understood immediately the pressing needs of the child, and we got immediate treatment for the child. We found them also some psychologists that they could use in Edmonton, because that's something else we do. We have a directory of healthcare professionals, which are mainly psychologists throughout Canada, but also in Alberta. And so we could instantly provide not just treatment, but care navigation. And at that time, that also provides that moment for that relief for the family. And I talk about this one because it was about a month ago, and I could just see the joy on Mum's face when she said, I just didn't know all of this existed, So she met a clinician, she met a neurologist, then she met me. We spoke about resources, we spoke about ways we could help her. We spoke about, potentially doing educational outreach in her son's classroom. She got a proper diagnosis, relevant treatment, and all that occurred in one day, and, that really kind of turned their life around. And that's the kind of impact we want to have. And I've subsequently spoken to her, and the quality of their life has increased quite a lot. And so that's a great example of a success story that happens quite a lot in our organisation and our field.
That's amazing. Yeah, for sure. What is one thing that you see happening over and over again to individuals with disabilities that shouldn't be, and how do we go to stop it?
Yeah, it goes back to what I've been saying, really. It's being able to get quick access to resources, to clinicians, to treatment. And that's not to say that they don't exist in the community. It's about healthcare professionals, it's about physicians, it's about people being cognizant, being aware that our organisation exists. And again, we've been a bit lopsided today that you've spoken a lot about Tourette syndrome and not so much about OCD, because our organisation does represent both. But this is for both. It's about being able to get treatment quickly, but then knowing that there are clinics and organisations that exist that can facilitate the navigation, the care pathway, and that's the difficulty we have. A solution to that is just trying to get people to know that we exist, that our organisation exists, that the Tourette's Clinic exists. And to that end, we have recently taken a part in, we were approached by a media company that really want to represent the interests of people with disabilities in Alberta. So we're going to be in like a journal, a magazine that they put together, and they're going to target every single healthcare worker and physician in Alberta. And that's really important. It's about awareness, knowing that we exist. And then, of course, there will be problems beyond that, but that's the first stage of that pathway to care. Knowing that an organisation is in place, knowing that there are clinics that are accessible within Alberta, because sometimes some patients who've come to our clinic have said, well, a physician in Edmonton said, we can't access the clinic in Calgary unless our symptoms are really severe. And again, that's not the case at all. And I'm not saying anybody's trying to mislead anyone. We will see anyone, even if they have one mild tick every 2 months. We will see every single child. Of course, they need to be triaged, and there'll be a weight according to the severity of their symptoms. But people need to know that this clinic exists and they have access to it. And part of our job is to raise our profile within the community too.
Okay. I know you mentioned there's an event coming up in September.
Yeah.
But are there any other events coming up as well too?
Well, we have. It's the summer, so one other thing I haven't said: we don't only just provide support for families and patients; we also provide support for healthcare professionals as well. We're very good at doing that. So we have events for them coming up. So anybody who wants to know what events are coming up, they could look at our calendar on our webinar. We certainly do have. I think we have 4 webinars within the next 4 months for patients and families. And the best way to look at them, or to find out what's going on, is to look there, or to sign up to our newsletter. I mean, just to give you another example, we have put together a conference in Toronto on the 15th of November, and that is for physicians, that is for allied healthcare professionals, and for patients and families. And everybody's invited. I know not everyone can get to Toronto, but it's called Bridging Perspectives, Navigating Tourette Syndrome and OCD. So we've got 3 different tracks for every single person that may want to find out more about, or learn more and become aware of these conditions. So that's our major event that's coming up, and you can sign up to that on an Eventbrite page. But other webinars that we have for patients and families, we have on 17th September, Complementary and Integrative Medicine for Tourette Syndrome. 15th October, there's one I'm giving, which is a webinar Understanding OCD. And on 12th November, we have one which is about cognitive behavioral therapy for tics, which is called What is Comprehensive Behavioral Intervention for Tics, CBIT. So we do have other events, and we will have others going forwards. Once we get to September, we will have more moderated or psychologist moderated discussion groups, and our book and film club will be ongoing, and we will hopefully have other events for children, for gaming events online.
Good. What is one thing that everyone needs to know about Tourette's Canada or the Tourette's OCD Alberta network?
One thing is that we are here, we are present, and we not only want to help the people with Tourette's and OCD in the Alberta community and the wider community of Canada. Not only do we want to direct them to resources and provide that pathway to care for them, but we also want to support people in the field, in the public at large, who want to support people with these conditions. So we want to encourage people to volunteer. We want to encourage people to have meeting someone for an OCD walk that we want to devise next October. So we also want to encourage people to volunteer and take part to build a community to support people who are suffering from these conditions. So we're really interested in building a community, not just disseminating resources or just saying redirecting people to our website. We want to be a real and pulsating and living presence in the lives of people with Tourette syndrome and OCD.
Okay. And if someone want to become a member of Tourette's Canada or OCD Alberta Network, or a volunteer, what does the process look like?
Well, with Tourette Canada, there is a volunteer button on their website, and with regards to Tourette OCD Alberta Network, I always see it as, like life generally, it's really important to start conversations. Anything successful starts off with a conversation. So to start that conversation with me, they can just make contact with me. All my contact details are on the website, and people often do that. They'll say to me, "Look, I've got this experience, or I want to do this. How can I help?" I can't always say, "Look, you can do this, you can do that," but I can direct them to be more independent. But yeah, they're just with regards to the Tourette OCD Alberta Network, they can just reach out to me. My contact details are on our website, and with regards to Tourette Canada, they can just push the volunteer button, and they will come to me as well. And at some stage, I'll start a conversation with them. Or be that by email or via Zoom.
Okay, cool. Before we close off, though, if listeners are looking for more information, how can they reach out to you?
How can they reach out to me? By exactly what I said before. They can reach out to me by by going to emailing me at julian.fletcher@ucalgary.ca. And they will come directly to me. They can also call me on 403-220-5865. Yeah, I'm contactable. And you can ask me about resources, about how to get a referral, about our in-school service information, or if you have an idea that you want to contribute, because I'm always looking for people to contribute ideas to our newsletter as well. I want people to write about their lived experience. It's very difficult to get people to do that. From time to time, I come up with like a new themed section. I think at the moment it's called Canadian Perspectives, and after a while it just fizzles away because people are not a bit reticent with regards to writing something. So again, if you have ideas, do you want to contribute? Contact me, or if you just have specific questions about just information about something you require, contact me, julian.fletcher@ucalgary.ca.
Awesome. Good to hear. Well, I want to thank you today there, Julian, for sitting down with me and having this interview. It's been wonderful.
Oh, you're most welcome. It's been my pleasure, and it's been great to answer your questions and to have this opportunity to tell a wider public about what we do and how important it is, and also to reach out to them to reach out to us.
Good, good. Well, everybody, you've been listening to Community Partners Interview. I'm Steuart McCoy. Until next time, see y'all later.